Hello guys and welcome back to another video. In today's video, my friends, we are going to be checking out the performance of Immortals of Aveum. Basically, we're going to test out FSR3 and frame generation on a 1650 GPU. Now 1650 right now nowadays is a very low-end GPU. You could barely play any 2023 games on 1080p resolution with a higher amount of graphics. You could play some games on 1080p very low settings, but as you can see right here, we're not getting very good FPS. So first of all, let's go through the system specs. We are using a Ryzen 5 3600, which is a 6-core processor, and we're using 16 GB of DDR4 memory, 3200 MHz, and everything is on stock. GTX 1650 is also on stock clocks and everything, as you can see on the top left corner. Right now let's go over the settings, and right now we are using very low settings. Everything is on the low display, and we're on a 1080p resolution full screen, and we are not using FSR3. As you can see, with the 1650 GPU in this game, we are getting the option to turn on frame generation. That is why I wanted to check out on the very low end GPUs right now these days, how does FSR3 and frame generation do. Alright, so first let's get an idea, and let's start counting the FPS again. So from this area we're gonna run to the other one. We're gonna make a run through this. This is a very intensive area. We checked out this area, the same area, in the RX 6600 benchmark or performance test video, and yeah, this area is very intensive. So 23 FPS average with a lot of stuttering and everything, and we're getting close to VRAM being maxed out, which is 4 GB for this GPU. This is a GDDR6 model, and we're getting like 3.8 GB of RAM memory usage. Alright, so I think you guys get an idea. We're getting like 23 FPS average with some stuttering and everything. Alright, now what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna go to settings and go to display, and I'm gonna turn on FSR3. Firstly, we're gonna check native AA. With native AA, what does it do on these old GPUs and NVIDIA GPUs? Let's just go back. Alright, the game looks a lot sharper. Let's start counting the FPS again, and we're getting like the same story with RX 6600. We're getting lower FPS, but the image is a lot sharper. So this is a FSR2 anti-aliasing setting, so that is why it's dropping the frames. It's using maximum render resolution and sharpening the game using FSR3 implementation. Alright, so let's go back to the settings now and change it to quality. Alright, now we're using FSR3 quality only and no frame generation currently, and let's start counting the FPS again. So the stutters have a little bit improved right now. We're getting 26 FPS average. This area previously was stuttering a lot. The game doesn't look that sharper anymore with the native AA option, but it still looks bearable. 24, 23. Not much of an improvement in this area, like 2 to 3 FPS with FSR3 quality only on 1080p resolution at least. And I could see when I'm moving the camera, I could see some shimmering around these areas, these leaves and everything. Alright, so 26, 29, sometimes higher 20s, and averages of 25. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable frame generation. Alright, so it kind of works, but the image is not very stable. As you can see, I don't know if YouTube does show you the lag that I'm getting, but the best way to use actually FSR3 and frame generation is to turn on VSync. So that's what I'm going to do just yet right now. Alright, so I've enabled VSync now. Yes, and this looks a lot smoother now compared to previously, which I can see from my eyes. While turning the camera, this looks a lot smoother. And this feels like we're playing at 40 FPS. Previously, when we're turning the camera, it was like laggy and choppy. So as soon as I've enabled VSync, it's become very stable. And this feels like now we're playing at that frame rate. Alright, 44 FPS average. That's a very big improvement, if you ask me. Yep, 47, 46. And ignore the frame time graph. This is just supposed to happen with FSR3. I've just read their documentation and they've told that this is what's supposed to happen with the frame time graph. Alright, 44 FPS average and very good performance bump by using this. Let's also try to enable NVIDIA Reflex. This does not have any frame rate impact, but this just generally reduces the latency in the game, which I don't feel like it's working. It's the same as previously. Yeah, there is some latency that I could feel right now, but it's not that bad. I could play the game with this. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable FSR3, and I'm going to go ahead on 900p resolution, and we're going to see how the game performs. Alright guys, so we are back and now we're at 900p resolution, as you can see right here, and we're on full screen resolution, full screen with VSync is turned on. I've not disabled it right now, and FSR3 is turned off. Everything else is on the same settings. Alright, so let's start counting the FPS again. This is native 1600 by 900 resolution, and we're getting like 28 FPS. And sometimes there are stutters. I think these are VRAM stutters, so we cannot do anything about it yet. We're still getting like 3.7 gigabytes of VRAM usage. 28, 30, 33. Yeah, so this is some improvement coming from resolution decrease, like 3 to 4 more, but we're not 3 to 4, like 5 to 6 FPS more. Yeah, so that is a very good improvement if you guys can play on 1600 by 900 if you have a GTX 1650 GPU. Now I'm going to go ahead in the settings, and the same methodology, we're going to enable FSR3 on native AA without any frame generation. The image becomes sharper, as you can see again. I think it's still applying the settings. Just wait it out a little bit. Huh. Is it still applying, or is it the frame rate that we're supposed to get? Alright. So the frame rate is not improving. Let me just disable it and enable it again if there is any issue. Oh yeah, so there was some issue, seems like. Alright, let's start counting the FPS again, and 2120 FPS. This is a huge decrease in performance with native AA. Like, we were getting like 28 FPS previously in this area. Now we're getting like 22, 23. Yeah, 22 FPS average. So yeah, you guys get an idea. You get sharper image, but you get lower performance with native AA. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to quality, and let's start counting the FPS again. So on 1600 by 900 with quality FSR3, we are getting a sizable bump in performance. We got like 5 more FPS as previously. We're getting 32 FPS average. The frame time graph is still not smooth, it's still not straight, but it's bearable, it's playable now. 27, 28, 29, 31. Yeah, so 31 FPS average. I think you guys get an idea. Now I'm going to go and enable frame generation again. Alright, so now 60 FPS. We saw 60. Alright, let's start counting the FPS again. Move to this area. I can still feel some latency in my mouse movements, but the game looks bearable. It's not that bad looking. There are some shimmery edges on the leaves and stuff and in the vegetation, but it's still bearable. 58, 57, 56 FPS average with FSR3 on quality and frame generation turned on 1600 by 900 resolution. So I think that's it for 900p. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disable FSR3 completely, and we're gonna go to 720p. Alright guys, so now I'm back and I'm on 720p resolution with full screen mode. FSR3 is disabled, and in the graphics option everything is the same on the lowest possible settings. Alright, so on the same area with 720p resolution we're getting like 33 FPS average, and let's start moving. This looks very blurry now, and the game still stutters while I think this is a game issue. Probably this is a game issue. Whenever I turn the camera from there, the game kind of stutters. Alright, so 32 FPS average. A little bit of an improvement from 900p now, going to 720p. 34 FPS average, yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to enable FSR3 on native without any frame generation currently. Alright, let's start counting the FPS again. So on 720p resolution now native AA is not that much decreasing the performance. Oh, I take that word back, it went to 28. So now we're getting like average FPS 35. Let's start moving back, 29, 28. Yeah, so it just decreases the performance a little bit with native AA as previously. Stutters while moving the camera from this area. Let's just call it stutter corner. That corner is like a stutter corner. Alright. So 34 FPS average with native AA and no frame generation. Now let's just go ahead and turn on frame generation with native AA. Alright, let's start counting the FPS again. And on 720p resolution with native AA and frame generation we're getting like 47 FPS average. Yeah, that is a very good increase, and the latency doesn't feel that bad. It's still playable. So yeah, now let's go ahead on the quality FSR3. And turn off frame generation. Now let's start counting the FPS again. The leaves look a lot shimmery because this is quality FSR3 and we're using 720p resolution. And this is a stutter corner. Oh, this didn't stutter now. Now this became a stutter corner. Alright. So we're getting 41 FPS average without frame generation and only quality FSR3 on 720p resolution. Alright, now let's stand here and turn on frame generation, which is going to be the final setting. Yeah, now this is very playable. As you can see, let's start counting the FPS again. 76, 74, 72 FPS average. Wow. So for playing on 1650 above 60 FPS most of the times, you have to go ahead and use 720p resolution, and in this game specifically, and you have to use FSR3 and frame generation. Alright, but still this is a very good increase and we're getting very playable frame rates. Yeah, so I hope you guys get an idea of how the game performs, and I will see you guys in the next video. Many of you guys are not subscribed who are watching my videos, so I would recommend you guys to subscribe because many new content for the GPU benchmarks and performance tests and everything are coming. So I will see you guys in the next video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and bye bye. Peace out.